I'll tell you point blank, I have not 1 ounce of remorse for Treesan's death.
Do you too get mad if someone refuses to apologize after they do something wrong? Even worse is when they don't even show any remorse. Let's look at these killers who showed no remorse in court. Randall Moore. A man convicted of killing his estranged wife said at his sentencing that he has no remorse for her death. Exactly 1 year ago Thursday, a hostage situation in Des Moines ended with Treesan Lynch Moore dead and a police officer injured. Randall Moore was convicted of kidnapping and killing Treesan Lynch Moore. Randall Moore also shot Des Moines officer Todd Rowland. Moore was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for Treesan's death and 25 years in prison for shooting Rowland. For Moore throwing insults at his victim's mother, to Moore's several minute tirade in court, to a fight over Treesan Lynch Moore's childhood pictures, which Moore said should burn in hell, court experts said the sentencing was unprecedented. But then veteran judge Joel Novak got a turn to talk. Novak told Moore that it's not Treesan's personal belongings burning in hell Moore should be concerned with. Novak told the court that if anybody didn't know what a piece of work you are before this sentencing, they know now. The court doesn't allow me to punish you any more than I'm doing now. If I could, I would, said Novak.
The court doesn't allow me to punish you any more than I'm doing now. If I could, I would.
What you did to my daughter was evil, hateful, and despicable, said Lynch during the victim's impact statement she read during Moore's sentencing Friday. You couldn't destroy her spirit, so you took her life instead. Before the sentencing, Moore and family members had a chance to read victim impact statements. Moore spoke for close to 11 minutes.
And I'll tell you point blank, I have not 1 ounce of remorse for Treesan's death. It could have all been prevented. All you had to do is let me see my kid. Now you're never going to see her again.
The judge, Novak, sentenced Moore to 3 life sentences for the crimes against Treesan Lynch Moore and 25 years in prison for shooting Officer Rowland. He ordered the sentences to be served consecutively to underscore the severity of the crime and Moore's disregard for the law.
I've never, ever seen anybody like you. I hope, really, I never ever see anybody like you again. The court doesn't allow me to punish you any more than I'm doing now. If I could, I would.
Keith Ferguson. A Michigan man accused of fatally shooting his wife and father-in-law was charged with murder, home invasion, and kidnapping. Keith A. Ferguson, 40, of Kalkaska, was arraigned Wednesday on open murder, firearms, and other charges in Kalkaska District Court. A judge set his bond at $10 million, and Sheriff David Israel said Ferguson will be represented by a court-appointed lawyer. Keith Ferguson shot and killed his estranged wife, Tiffany Ferguson, and his father-in-law, James Weber, last November in Kalkaska County. The crimes left Ferguson's 4 children without a mother. Authorities arrested Ferguson after he released a hostage and left a home where he'd barricaded himself for several hours beginning late Tuesday. Police said Ferguson killed his wife, Tiffany Ferguson, 42, and his father-in-law, James Weber, 63, at homes in the county. All the evidence is there, the sheriff told the Associated Press. We've got witnesses. His own children witnessed him shoot these other family members. We've got admissions from him in roundabout ways. Court records showed that Tiffany Ferguson filed for divorce in September and a hearing was scheduled Friday. Israel said that the couple's children ran from their grandfather's house and told a neighbor that their father shot their grandfather and mother. The neighbor, a Kalkaska County Sheriff's deputy, called 911. About the same time, Keith Ferguson called 911 from a home in Orange Township and said he had a hostage and warned that he would shoot any responding officers, Israel said in a statement. Ferguson surrendered after a 7-hour standoff, and the hostage, who Israel said wasn't a relative and appears to have been taken at random, was unharmed. People close to Tiffany Ferguson and James Weber reacted with excitement and relief to Keith Ferguson admitting to murder. I was kind of surprised because I thought if he was going to admit to it, he would have done it that night, said Barbara Clem, family friend. I was a little shocked and skeptical about what his plans were, but I was very happy. We've always hoped the best for the family. We hope the children would be able to stay out of it and none have to testify in court, said Abe DeVol, Kalkaska County Sheriff. During his plea, the Kalkaska County prosecutor said Ferguson became agitated and upset, so much so the judge decided to take a break.
Understand what I'm saying? You know, let's just make this painless and not give me my 100 years or whatever and get me the out of here.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well do it. You understand me?
What you want.
I'm not doing this in front of these stupid cameras and these inbreds.
Ferguson came back and was much calmer. This is not unexpected. This is something he's been displaying throughout his court appearances, said Mike Peralt, Kalkaska County prosecutor. He would start cussing, then he would stand up and start yelling. It escalated quickly. Peralt says he was prepared to move forward with the case. I was certainly prepared to go to trial. I had regular meetings with my detectives, said Peralt. I think this is the end. I just want him to be sentenced, and I want to get the house built for Shirley and the kids, said Clem. The judge sentencing Ferguson Tuesday morning said there was something fundamentally wrong with him, to which Ferguson offered little but said, "Sentence me, kill me, whatever," according to the UpNorthLive.com report.
It may not meet the clinical definition of insanity, but there's clearly something fundamentally wrong with you. You're incapable of understanding that intentionally depriving an elderly woman of her husband, her mate for life, and 4 children of her mother, to satisfy your own selfish urges, justice, is something that deserves the most important and serious punishment. You'll never again have an opportunity to hurt any innocent people. You're never again have the opportunity to be free.
Ronnie O'Neill, a Florida man on trial for a double homicide, turned the proceedings into a circus, as he acted as his own lawyer and cross-examined his 11-year-old son, who responded to his dad by testifying, "You stabbed me." Ronnie O'Neill III allegedly murdered his girlfriend and their disabled 9-year-old daughter, then stabbed his then 8-year-old boy before setting the family's Tampa home on fire in 2018. The jury found O'Neill guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. He was also found guilty of arson, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, and resisting an officer without violence.
He talked about Mr. Khalil Brown, my neighbor who stayed across the street. But if Mr. Khalil Brown was a help to them proving me guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, they would have called Mr. Khalil Brown. But I called Mr. Khalil Brown to be a witness for me. And I didn't ask him to lie about one thing that he saw that night. I asked him to tell the jury exactly what he saw that night.
O'Neill sat quietly and did not appear to react as the jury foreman read the verdict at 7 p.m., just over 4 hours after deliberations began. The surviving child testified Wednesday by remote video that he witnessed the murders. When it was O'Neill's turn to cross-examine the boy, he asked his son, "Did I hurt you that night?" "Yes," the 11-year-old responded. "How did I hurt you?" O'Neill continued. "You stabbed me," his son replied. On Monday, O'Neill told the courts that the prosecution's evidence was some of the most vicious, lying, fabricating, fictitious government you ever seen, while delivering opening arguments on his own behalf. "I look alone, but I'm backed by Almighty God," O'Neill shouted as he gestured and paced in the Tampa courtroom. Earlier Monday, prosecutors began their closing arguments the same way they began their opening remarks, with a 911 call from 33-year-old Kenyatta Barron, O'Neill's girlfriend, as she pleaded for her life. Prosecutors said by then she had already been shot, and while the recording continued, O'Neill can be heard beating her with a shotgun. O'Neill chose to represent himself, much like his opening statement 1 week ago.
You heard Mr. Khalil Brown. You've been hearing me for 2 weeks now, telling you that they committed criminal acts against me with the 911 calls and that fraudulent video that they just showed y'all.
He yelled as he spoke to jurors, saying his son's statements were inconsistent and he believes his son was likely coached by the Hillsborough County detective who later adopted him. "I did kill Kenyatta Barron, but I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it," he said. In the middle of the night in a Riverview neighborhood, neighbors woke up as the violent rampage took place. Soon after, first responders arrived at the gruesome scene. One neighbor testified saying he watched O'Neill strike and shoot Barron. Her body was found outside her home. The young man witnessed Barron running for her life and described it in detail to the jury. His wife tried to run away and he went and he grabbed her and he stood over her, striking her 3 times, and he shot her, the man testified. Prosecutors said O'Neill used a hatchet to kill his 9-year-old daughter, Ranavea, who had special needs and could not talk. One firefighter testified and recalled carrying the daughter's body out of the home. O'Neill tried to fatally stab his 8-year-old son before setting him and the house on fire. The boy's name is also Ronnie, although he now has a different last name after being adopted by one of the detectives in the case. Borough County deputies testified that moments after their arrival, O'Neill's son staggered out of the home, suffering from several stab wounds and severe burns. O'Neill maintains he killed Barron in self-defense after she attacked their children. Prosecutors said the surviving son ran out of the burning house and described what happened. The first words that came out of this brave boy's mouth, "My daddy killed my mommy," Assistant State Attorney Scott Harmon told the court. The jury also heard a 911 call Barron made after she had allegedly been shot. "Okay, Ronnie, I'm sorry," she said as O'Neill was heard yelling in the background. "I'm so sorry, help me, I can't move my arm. My arm is shot up. Ronnie, please." O'Neill told the jury cops fabricated the evidence and coached his son a lie. "The evidence is going to show that I love my children," O'Neill told jurors. "The evidence will not show you that my son witnessed me beat his mom to death, nor did he witness me shoot his mom. In fact, he didn't witness much at all."